We had a wonderful meeting on healthcare yesterday, you probably know, Bob, and so we're moving along. Hello, Thomas. Thank you very much for being here to discuss two crucial votes taking place in Congress tomorrow on vital safety and national security legislation. We're joined by the chairman of the House Judiciary, Bob Goodlatte, friend of mine for a long time. Bob is one of the most skilled legislators in Congress, and you didn't even tell me to say that, Bob, right? And he's worked with law enforcement to write a series of critical immigration bills that will close the dangerous loopholes exploited by criminals, gang members, drug dealers, killers, terrorists. MS-13 is a prime target, bad people, and we've gotten many of them out already. You know, we're pretty much at the 50% mark. We're getting them out as fast as we can get them out. We're freeing up towns. We're actually liberating towns, if you can believe that we have to do that in the United States of America, but we're doing it, and we're doing it fast. Also with us today are Congressman Peter King, another friend, Lou Barletta, where's Lou? Lou, another friend. So you're running for governor, Lou? Look behind you, Lou. You can make a big announcement today. Lou Barletta, an early supporter. Thank you, Lou. And David Young. Tomorrow the House will vote on the No Sanctuary for Criminals Act. It's been in the works for a long time. People have wanted it, Bob, for a long time. But we were able to get this process going, and I hope you're going to be successful. You'll be successful tomorrow with the vote?
We will.
Good. Which will cut federal grant money to cities that shield dangerous criminal aliens from being turned over to federal law enforcement. The House will also vote on Kate's Law, named for Kate Steinle, who was killed by an illegal immigrant and who's been deported 5 times. This law will enhance criminal penalties for those who repeatedly re-enter the country illegally. Countless innocent Americans, including the loved ones of many families in the room, and many of these families are friends of mine, great friends of mine that I got to know over the campaign trail because they fought so hard for this. And they're with us. They've had members of their family killed by illegal immigrants and really people with multiple, in some cases, multiple deportations. I'm especially honored to be here with so many courageous families whom I did get to know so well over the past period of time. And here's one right over here, Jamil, a great, great man with a great son, great family. You lost the people that you love because our government refused to enforce our nation's immigration laws, and that's even the existing immigration laws, without new laws. That's existing immigration laws. For years, the pundits, journalists, politicians in Washington refused to hear your voices. But on Election Day, 2016, your voices were heard all across the entire world, right? You better believe it. Nobody died in vain, I can tell you. Chairman Goodlatte has produced a package of truly key immigration enforcement bills. We've been waiting for these for a long time. And I want to thank you, Chairman, for doing that. Great job. And it's just perfect. This package includes the Davis-Oliver Act, whose passage I called for nearly a year ago at my inauguration speech and immigration speech, both. The immigration speech taking place in Phoenix, Arizona. The Davis-Oliver Act was named for Detective Michael Davis and Deputy Sheriff Danny Oliver, who were gunned down in the line of duty by an illegal immigrant with a criminal record and 2 prior deportations. And everybody knew this person was big, big trouble. And they begged law enforcement to get him out. And they were unable to do that. They're incredibly brave widows honored. And they're here with us, by the way, and we're honoring them today. And it's honored. Where are you, please? The widow. Where is that? There's here someplace. In the back of the room? Thank you. Thank you. We're privileged to be joined by Melissa Melissa?
Right here.
That's what I thought. Hello, Melissa. Melissa Oliver, and I just want to say that your father was a true hero. You know that. And a great gentleman. And we miss him. You miss him. We miss him. We're calling on all members of Congress to honor grieving American families by passing these life-saving measures in the House, in the Senate, and then sending them to my desk for a very rapid signature. I promise you it will be done quickly. You don't have to wait the mandatory period. It will be very quick, Melissa, in honor of your father and others, okay? And in honor of Jamil. It's time to support our police, to protect our families, and to save American lives. And also to start getting smart. So with that, I'd like to ask each of the families invited and some of the folks that I know that, and some I've gotten to know so well, I'd like to start with Jamil to tell just a quick story about how great your son was, perhaps what happened, so that other people can learn by it. And your son was an incredible young man, incredible student and athlete. Tell us about your son, Jamil.
Yeah, in 2008, my son Jamil Shaw, we called him Jazz, was murdered by an illegal alien. That was on his third gun charge. He was in the LA County Jail, was released without calling ICE. The same day he got out, he was looking for someone black to kill, part of an initiation, and the Mexican Mafia had put out a directive, they said, and he was acting that out in my neighborhood. My son walking down the street, and he shot him dead in the street, shot him in the stomach, and then shot him in the head. And he was a good kid, never been in trouble, was in no gangs, never been arrested, never suspended from school. He was 3-time MVP in football, player of the year. He had a chance to go to the Olympics. That's what they said, you know, because he was really fast. He was running the 220, the 100, the 400 relay, the 440 relay, and the long jump. So he was, you know, he was living the dream. That was our dream, you know, and it was squashed out. And just thank you for Trump and Bob Goodlatte for doing what you guys are doing. We really appreciate it in LA, even though you don't hear about it in LA, because but a lot of people in LA support you guys 100%.
Thank you, Jamil.
Yep.
And Jamil's son was applying to top colleges on a football scholarship. He was a great quarterback, and he was an excellent student.
Yeah.
And we miss him.
Thank you.
We miss him. Laura?
Yes, thank you. My name is Laura Wilkerson, and my son Joshua was 18 years old. And in November of 2010, he was systematically tortured, brutally beaten, murdered, and then his body set on fire after death from somebody who shouldn't have been in this country. Josh was a good kid. He was just about to graduate high school, had talked about going into the service, the Air Force, like his older brother was in. He was just learning about life and loving and living. He was very kind, soft-spoken, compassionate. He was giving this kid a ride home, which is something we taught him to do, to show compassion for other people. And that's what he was doing, and this kid intentionally murdered him and set him on fire because he wanted Joshua's truck. This is not about politics. This is about safety, American safety for people. That's all it's about. Both parties should be on board with this. There shouldn't be any objection to it. Thank you so much for what you're doing. You know, as a mom, that day Josh died, I was looking for him, searching for him, because he was out of pocket for a few minutes. And at the time he was being slaughtered, I was calling his cell phone, and I always will wonder, did he hear that phone ring in his pocket? Did he feel it? Did he know his mom was looking for him the minute he was leaving this earth? And you don't want any other families to have to endure this. It's about public safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My name is Julie Govach, and our son Spencer was 25 when he was murdered. He was a small business owner. He had his own guitar shop, and with the economy struggling, he took on a full-time job in a warehouse because he had 10 employees, and he wanted to keep them employed. So he was hardworking, never got in any trouble, was the light of our life. He had a great sense of humor. He could talk with anybody. He had friends that were 9-year-old guitar students and 70-year-old guys that would come in and talk, and he was very well loved. He, after relocating his business, he decided to spend some time with his girlfriend. And after he dropped her off, it was a little after midnight, so it was her birthday, and he gave her a kiss and told her he loved her and happy birthday and he'd see her tomorrow. And he drove about 10 minutes and was waiting at a red light, and an illegal alien was in the progress of a shooting spree. Our son was the second of 4 shot that night. And we've lost everything. He was my only child. I want some action. If this would have been done years ago, my son would still be here. The person that shot him had been deported 4 times, was living and presumably working. We were never able to get a lot of detail on the person that murdered our son, and could just live and work comfortably in Houston, Texas, and that shouldn't have happened. I want action. I want some action so nobody else has to go through the loss that we feel. And while this guy was also in prison, he went to kill a rival gang member, and he could have received 20 years additional sentence, and he got the minimum 5 additional years. If they would have even given him half, it would have been 10 years, and I would still have my son. This is not anything you want anybody to ever go through. I want some action. I don't want anybody else in my family, and I don't want anybody else to feel what we have to feel.
I'm just going to add this one thing to it. This killer had been deported 4 times. He had a 15-year rap sheet. Violent burglaries. The gun that he used to kill my son was acquired, and we now know, in a burglary 2 weeks prior to this. And he was just out fun shooting. And this is what some politicians in the country have decided is acceptable for us. It's not acceptable. While these politicians are sitting at home on the holidays, all warm and cozy with their families, most of us are at the cemetery.
Okay.
And it's just not acceptable.
Thank you.
My name's Mary Ann Mendoza, and my son, Sergeant Brandon Mendoza of the Mesa, Arizona Police Department, was a wonderful son, an amazing man, and an incredible police officer. He had been given a job to clean up a south of town area. Drug dealers had overtaken a neighborhood. He became a modern-day beat cop, met everybody in his beat door to door. They invited him in for dinners. He checked in on the elderly. He cleaned up the park. As you drive by the park now, families have now reclaimed this area, and they have barbecues, they have kickball games, they enjoy the park. And Brandon was on his way home on Mother's Day, May 12, 2014, from work after protecting his community. And an illegal, previously convicted criminal had driven over 35 miles the wrong way on 4 different freeways in Phoenix, was 3 times the legal limit drunk, high on meth, and slammed head-on into my son and killed him. My world has been devastated since, and what I've learned, not only about the fact of the rampantness of illegal criminals allowed to stay in our country, is that the leniency of our court systems, the very crimes that American citizens commit and are held to the highest degree, these illegal criminals are given half the sentences. Their felonies are reduced to misdemeanors. They serve half the time. They're allowed to go back out onto our streets. And I'm tired of our politicians not caring about their fellow Americans. When did it ever become more important to our elected officials to protect illegal criminals in our country and not care about us? Any of you. This could happen to any of you in the blink of an eye. And I'm thankful that we have a president who has brought this to the forefront and made people aware of it. And this is all any of us families have ever tried to do, was bring awareness and make you realize this can be you tomorrow. So please support our president and make sure that your politicians are voting the way that their constituents want them to vote, because this isn't what's happening in our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Melissa, President.
My name is Melissa Oliver Stores. I'm here on behalf of my mom, my sister, and most importantly, my father, Deputy Danny Oliver, Sacramento County. He was a law enforcement officer, and he was killed in the line of duty on October 24th, 2014. The man that murdered my father was deported twice previously and returned to our country illegally. This senseless crime has affected my family and I in many ways that are unexplainable. The pain is tremendous, and it's something we'll never get over. I think it's important that we focus on these laws and getting them passed, such as Kate's Law, and definitely most importantly for me personally is the Davis-Oliver Act. We need our law enforcement officers to have more information about these people that are in our country illegally, and so we can go ahead and get them detained, and so this can't happen to another family. A little bit about my dad. He had a heart of gold. He cared about everyone. He put everyone before himself, no matter what, whether it was me, my sister, my mom, and all of our other family members. He did whatever he could to keep us all together. He worked hard in his communities to make the worst high crime rate areas just feel a little bit safer. He did everything he could, and there's communities out there that still think of him and bring it to our attention that they're still thinking of him. And that's what's most important to us, is we don't want him or any other victim to be forgotten. So I know that that's definitely something that we all need to focus on as a country, and I think we'll just continue to remember them, and we'll never forget any of the victims.
Thank you very much.
Juan?
His name's Juan Pina. My daughter, Christy Sue Pina. She was murdered, she was strangled, stabbed, raped, sodomized. Her nude body was thrown in an artichoke field in the middle of winter. The person that did this, back in '87, he had kidnapped another 14-year-old girl. He tortured her, got put in jail, $50,000 bail, $5,000. He got out, went back to Mexico. This was in July of '87. In September, he came back. He kidnapped another one. Did the same thing, made just a little bit worse than the first one. Got put in jail again. Same thing, another slap on the arm, the hand, or whatever. And went back to Mexico. Came back in '90, February the 8th, they found my daughter out there in an artichoke field. And he took off. They didn't catch him that time. He left, but they had an idea who it was. A few months later, he came back, tried to kidnap a little 12-year-old at 7 o'clock in the morning on her way to school. The system, would have kept him the first time for what he did. I mean, he kidnapped, raped, everything. I mean, you don't get out. But I've gone round and round with the district attorney there in our county, and we don't see eye to eye in a lot of stuff. They wanted me to keep my mouth shut about a lot of things, but I don't. I'm my daughter's voice. And what I think that Mr. President here is trying to do is the best thing ever. And if you need a pen with a lot of ink, I got one of those too. And I'm all for everything that you do. We gotta put our people safe, just like they said over there. They protect them. That's not right. Americans first. Americans first. And that's not what's happening. Especially, I'm from California, so California, we're fighting. We're fighting. Believe me, they're so turned over there. They don't know which way they're going, but they're not going the right way, and they're against us totally. And we got to fight them with everything we got, and we got to get all these bills that he wants passed. Got to get them passed soon, not later. Now, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. Beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Root. My daughter Sarah Root was killed January 31st of 2016. She had just graduated from college with a 4.0. She was coming home after celebrating with some friends and stopped at a stoplight, and a illegal alien hit her going 70 plus miles an hour. He was drinking and driving, underage, street racing. He killed my daughter. She was considered brain dead on the 31st, so we always say that was her death date. She was an organ donor because she was such a giver. So her actual death date on her death certificate reads February 4th. because that's when her organs were taken. On February 4th, Eswin Mejia was sentenced with $50,000, not sentenced, made bond, $50,000. He posted $5,000 on February 5th, and he's never been seen since. This happens so often. In 11 weeks after it happened to Sarah in Omaha, Nebraska, it happened to another family. Another illegal alien hit and killed somebody while drinking and driving. I've met some incredible parents throughout all this, and we all agree something has to change. Why do we end up continuously losing someone? Why does nobody listen to us? Why does the death toll have to increase? Why do we have to continue to have victims of identity theft from illegals? Why do we have to encounter any type of violence? And I'm sorry, these laws that are trying to be passed, most of them are common sense. And until this happened to me, I thought this is what was in place. And to find out it wasn't was terrifying to me. And I am telling you, these congressmen and senators that don't vote for these laws, the blood is on their hands for the next victim and that victim's family. So let's make some changes. I thank God every day for President Trump and his support of us. I thank God every day for Congressman Young for the support I have in Iowa is incredible. It's never going to bring Sarah back. I have to be her voice, and you guys helping us get that voice out there has been incredible to our family and to Sarah. And she deserves to be known. She does not deserve to be dead. She was just starting her life at 21 years old with her criminal investigations degree that she had just gotten 15 hours prior to being killed. Now we protected Eswin Mejia. Now it's time to protect the American citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And everybody loves Sarah. And Sarah was the #1 student by far, they say, in her class. Graduated just prior to a horrible event, and she was the #1 student in her class. So thank you for being here. Would you like to say something?
I'm Sabina Durden. I'm better known as Dom's mom. I'm a legal immigrant, and I did it the right way. I came here knowing I wanted to be here. I had to go through certain steps, so I did that, and I'm a proud citizen now. And I had one child, my son Dominic. I brought him with me. That's all I got. He was my only child. He was a funny man. He was working for the sheriff's department in Riverside as a 911 dispatcher, wanted to become motorcycle officer and then end up in the helicopter unit for Riverside Sheriff's Department. Never had any problems with my son. He was my best friend, my only family here. I have no family left. And on July 12, 2012, an illegal from Guatemala with 2 felonies, previous deportation, 2 DUIs, always got probation for it, never really served any time, didn't think our laws mattered, didn't care, turned his truck uninsured, unlicensed, unregistered again, turned it in front of my son and hit him so hard that he threw him in a wall, broke his neck and killed him instantly. The guy tried to run away, but some Marines were behind my son and they stayed there and kept him there. And the first responders were my son's friends. They had to see his mangled body. The judge and the DA told me, don't worry, we got you your back, we're gonna fight for Dominic, and told me not to go to trial. They lied to me. So we went in front of a judge that already given the killer a deal, gave him a misdemeanor without gross negligence. And somebody that wasn't supposed to be in this country, that had no right to be here, that had previous chances to leave, to stay out, and they had chances to keep him locked up, received 9 years, 9 months, and 5-year probation. and he served 35 days. If any one of us hurt somebody, steal something, we get more time than that. And Mr. President, since I had no family left, I wanted to commit suicide. My fiance didn't know. I wanted to go. I wanted to be with my son. And on June 16th, when you came down that escalator and you mentioned those words, illegal immigration, I was walking through my living room and I dropped to my knees. Because it was my little sign from God, you're not doing anything, you stay around. And then a month later, I met you personally in Los Angeles, where you were the only one that ever met with us and became our voice. So you're not only my hero, my president, you are my lifesaver. I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we need to pass these two laws. They need to be passed in Senate. And I want to end with this. Like Michelle said, anybody who votes against or doesn't vote on these laws that protect your families, your future generations, your grandkids. I have no grandkids. I will never have any. Sign these laws. Protect our people first. Let Americans be first, and don't worry so much about others. Americans first, your children first, their future first. Stop wasting time. Sign these bills, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you. Yes, good. Steve, go ahead.
I'm Steve Ronnebeck. My son was Grant Ronnebeck. 21 years old. He was killed January 22nd, 2015 by an illegal immigrant while he was working the overnight shift at his convenience store. Grant was killed because he wasn't counting change fast enough for a pack of cigarettes. Grant was just one of the kindest, nicest kids you'll ever meet. Even his customers thought so. The one thing that I think that you, Mr. President, have realized that every one of our children's deaths has been preventable. All the deaths of our loved ones, these are preventable. And Mr. President, Chairman Goodlatte, I think you guys realize that, and that's why you're doing what you're doing, and I want to thank you both for what you're doing. Passing these laws is instrumental. I don't think I would wish the devastation that we felt every day on anyone. And again, when your child's death was preventable, it's even harder than if they were to die from cancer or something like that. It rips part of you away that you'll never get back. So I want to thank you both for what you're doing and everything you have done.
Thank you, Steve. And the fact is, you're right. They were all preventable, every one in this room. Totally preventable. And I appreciate you very much being here. Thank you very much. And thank you to all. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.